Hi everybody, Marty Rubin here, and welcome back to Marty's Corner. And we are lucky, very lucky, to have Tyler McLean, who is playing Emmett Forrest, the smart, loyal, and wise beyond his years, Emmett Forrest, right? So, it's so nice to have you here.
Thanks, Marty. It's good to be here.
Yeah, you were one of the first people that I met. We were outside, and you said hello to me, and you're a really nice guy. You almost fit the part of Emmett Forrest in terms of your personality.
Almost. You can see that there's a lack somewhere. I remember when we met in the alleyway there.
Yeah.
Outside of any kind of official meeting
Right.
in the theater, we just sort of bumped into each other.
It was nice talking to you. So now you're trying to win the heart. Your character is trying to win the heart of the beautiful Elle Woods, and you're up against a very formidable Warner Huntington III. How are you going to be able to do this?
Well, luckily, Emmett is not doing this alone. Elle and Emmett both discover their feelings for each other during the course of events. I think there must be some kind of initial attraction to her.
Right.
She's a wonderful personality. She's very bold and open and confident, but I think it's not right from the get-go that he realizes how
Yes.
much he wants to be with her. And like it does in life sometimes, some kind of terrible situation, which I guess I won't give away
Yes.
if you haven't seen the movie or the play, but some terrible situation brings some urgency to it, and that's when he's able to declare it. And I think also from the get-go, Emmett sees that the relationship with Warner is kind of a no-go. I don't even know if he really feels like he's competing with him, but that is an interesting idea.
Now you brought up the movie. When you got the role as Emmett Forrest, did you go back to the movie with Reese Witherspoon and see how Luke Wilson played your part?
I did, and I also watched some interviews about the creation of the musical, and they definitely decided deliberately to expand that role, because Luke Wilson is great, but there's just not a lot of context for the character. He appears, he kind of helps her along, and he's not there even for her like meteoric rise. He just comes in at the beginning to sort of say, hey, you can do this, and then at the end he's kind of there as well.
Right.
And is encouraging her, but this character, the Emmett in the musical, has this backstory where he grew up in the Roxbury slums. He's got this difficult upbringing, this chip on his shoulder, and he's much more involved in her rise as well. So I did watch the movie, and I also figured that without the music, the movie would seem a little hollow, but the movie is really, really great in its own right. It's got a lot of moments that they decided to take out of the musical for good reason. The musical needs to keep its pace and needs to, be musical.
You have a lot of chemistry with a lot of characters in the show. How important is chemistry between actors for the success of a show?
That is really interesting. I think chemistry is basically the product of two actors who are being completely open and playful. I can't imagine not having chemistry with someone unless they were deliberately closed off and decided not to be playful on stage.
Right.
And sometimes you do bump into actors like that, and you kind of want to interview them and ask them, why are you doing this? Or maybe it's just they want to be purely professional and not have any camaraderie, but it is so hard when you are in such close proximity to creative, open, fun people to not enjoy the benefits of a family in a cast. And so I guess I could see someone who is being very professional, kind of excluding themselves from the energy of friendship and energy of fun that is.
But it's so nice to see
musical.
people getting along on stage and,
Oh, yeah.
and hitting it off. There's a great scene. There's a lot of terrific scenes, but there's a great scene where Elle Woods takes you to the department store. Is that a fun scene to play?
It's so fun because the audience just reacts a lot during that scene. There's a lot of lines that are just really well written that get the audience, vocalizing or shifting or laughing. And yeah, I also have a quick change in that scene. It's like the hardest thing that Emmett has to do in the show.
Yes.
Everyone else is flipping and dancing and singing these crazy songs, and I'm mostly kind of walking around and being like, oh, what's going on? And so that's the hardest thing I have to do. So it's the challenge. I always look forward to it because it's going to be fun. It's written well for the audience, and I get to see if I'll make it out of that dressing room with all my clothes on.
Now, we said earlier, Emmett Forrest has a lot of great qualities, and I see some of those in you. But let me ask you, what qualities does Tyler McLean want to emulate from Emmett Forrest?
I think the one that is not so perfectly synced up between us two that I keep wanting to dig into more, and I don't mean this way in a derogatory way, but kind of his scrappiness. He's grown up in a much more difficult environment than I grew up in.
Right.
And therefore he really does have this chip. And I have learned to kind of build a chip on my shoulder, but his is a little bit more organic, a little bit more a part of his DNA. And so I'm always looking to find ways of grounding this character in a more, not desperate, but always with his back against the wall. Only option is forward. Mm-hmm. Tyler McLean can sometimes fall into the wall a little bit and move backwards into the...
So maybe Emmett can inspire you that way.
Totally. He has some moments, like when he's interviewing Brooke later in the show, where
yes.
you kind of see him not be excellent, but he persists. He's clearly juggling a lot of hard tasks at the same time and
yes.
able to move through it, and impresses the right people, even though he's not dressed well. Like Callahan
right.
gives him this position on this case, so he clearly impresses with his ethic. So I think that's the thing. I'm not saying that I don't have an ethic. Of course I
yes.
do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. But you're right. I could be inspired by him.
That's good. Where are you from, Tyler?
Northern California, in the Bay Area.
So did you decide at an early age you wanted to pursue acting?
Very luckily, I was plugged into little performances at the church that I attended when I was younger. And then that grew into middle school involvement and high school involvement. I basically have just been doing this thing since I was an impressionable child, so it's always been a very close companion, these opportunities to be on stage, which I understand is a privilege and not just something that is owed to me since I've been doing it since I was a child. But yeah, I remember in college, even as late as college, really facing the decision in my life that is, will this be my career? Will this be something that I throw all my eggs in this basket and see what hatches, to stick with the metaphor?
We're glad that you did.
I'm very glad that I did too.
That's good.
It's been such a rich adventure, for sure.
If you and I were hanging out in the street on Babylon Village, like we were that time,
yeah.
By the alley talking, and somebody walked up to us and said, I'm thinking of coming to see that show Legally Blonde. What would you say to him to make him or her want to come see the show?
I think my mind goes straight to, do you love great singing? Do you love great dancing? I mean, the ensemble is everything in this show. There's just like such exhibition. Every single person has been sworn into this cast because of their exceptional triple threat skill.
Yes.
Maybe not. I don't have to dance, but so you won't see me dancing that hard. But everybody else, there are moments in the show that you see just like absolute excellence, Broadway caliber excellence, and you would be remiss. Maybe you wouldn't know that you were remiss without coming. Anyway, it's a little bit of a. I've lost it, but the ensemble, there's their
yes.
power,
there's a lot
their
of
strength,
a lot of talent.
Yeah,
a lot of talent.
Yeah, it's worth seeing in and of itself. I think I'd also focus on the story. I think the story still has so much comedic relevance, so much
yes.
thematic relevance. It's just this like.
And it's the time that we live in, the times that we live in right now. This has a message. This show, and it's really, people are coming away with that message.
It's a little bit, even though it's like Legally Blonde, that title I think sometimes gets people thinking a certain way.
Right.
That isn't what we want them to be thinking. That message is pretty timeless and worth hearing, and it's
yes.
packaged so well in this show. It's so compelling and so sweet and so funny that it really is worth coming to receive that universal message packaged this way.
Absolutely.
That might be too hard for the person on the street. That would be too
Tyler,
much.
I want to thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure for you to be on Marty's Corner with us. If you want to see Tyler MiClean every night here, lighten up the Argyle Theater and the rest of the talented cast, come on out to see Legally Blonde. It's playing through Sunday, August 25th, so we can't wait to see you all out there.